Good evening, Claudia.
Hi, Vince. It takes me a little time to unmute here. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Takes me a little while to just fully get set up. You know what I mean?
I
Oh,
completely
well.
understand.
You've got a sweater on. I do too. I'm just too cold and just sitting in one place. I've got my cup of tea. I've got, it.
That's the one that I didn't get it. I should have gotten tea, but
That always helps me anyway. Stay warm.
hi, Pam.
Answering a student's frantic question, so I'll be muted until they are calmed down.
Hey, there he is. Superintendent Owens, how are you, sir?
Doing great. How you doing, Vince?
Doing great. Doing great.
Good to see you.
All right.
Good evening, everyone.
Erica.
How are you tonight, Erica?
I am doing very well. Well, sort of doing well, a little bit under the weather. So I'll be keeping my video off if I can think of what it's called. But yes, I'll be keeping my video off. But I know that Heath won't be here tonight. He doesn't have a nurse, which has been a continued problem because of the lack of, they're taking basically all the nurses that are going to housing and taking them and putting them in the hospitals because of the nursing shortage. So it's been a little bit hard for him. And so he will not be here tonight. And then David, I don't think he said, let me see, let me look at my messages real quick. I don't think he will be here tonight either. Yeah, David won't be able to make it tonight. I didn't hear anything from Rose, so I'm guessing that she should be here. And then Jess is in the audience right now.
Did you send me a message? Because I didn't get anything that I saw about the meeting tonight. Erica.
Are you talking about the training?
No, you were mentioning about that you'd already heard from David and that you'd heard from Heath.
Oh,
So how are we?
They won't be here at the training tonight.
Right.
They
But
just
were
said,
you checking with all board members, or was someone checking with all board members?
no, nobody was checking with all board members, but I knew that, sorry, it's been really busy at work because I'm starting a new job. But yes, nobody checked with any other board members. And last I knew, it was done, everyone else was available.
Actually, I did check with all board members and he did say he would be here tonight.
Oh.
So I don't know if you talked to him after we spoke. But
Yes, he texted me today just saying that he was not able to be here tonight because the lack of having a nurse and having to do everything himself because his husband is working late.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
I'll just mention it, you know, I want to go on the record, although I'm sure we all know it. This is the second training he's missed. And he, I thought, was the one who wanted to conduct this training. This just baffles me entirely. Why I had to miss dinner with my family tonight. And just saying, you know, there are other things in life that.
That is very valid. And I will go on the record saying that I totally understand that we all have lives and stuff. And I know that it was mostly for the beginning for the new board members. I think David, one of the things I know is that life has been coming up for a lot of our board members, sadly. And I haven't heard anything from Rose, Jess is in the thing.
Rose?
So if we want to, we can always, I have no problem with rescheduling if that's something that we would like to make sure that we talk to Chair Curry about the importance of him being here as well as the rest of the new board members.
So am I to understand that those of us as continuing board members were not expected to be here?
I thought it was that we just all agreed that we were all going to be here. But
Okay,
yeah,
all right.
that was I thought that was our agreement for that. But we can always, what we'll do is can always consult with Chair Curry again, and making sure we understand the attendance requirements that we need for this training, because I do respect everyone's time. And if we're under the inception that we're supposed to all be here and people have been flexing off, or if it's easy for people to flex off, is it mandatory or it's not, basically. So.
Okay, then and Erica, I appreciate that you're under the weather. And so I know how that is to try to kind of communicate through the cloud, right? When you're just not feeling well. But so I may have misunderstood when you were first talking that this was most beneficial for new board members. And I guess my perception was that this was training so that we would all have the same and the level understanding of boardsmanship, regardless of our, previous status, I guess. Because
Okay, so yeah, I apologize. That was a miscommunication on my end. That was for all of us. Sorry.
Got it. No, that's good. I just was like, okay, now wait a minute. Am I showing up to something I don't have to be showing up to?
Yeah.
Or not. I did. It's like I was unclear. Yeah. I would need to echo Claudia. The board chair position is important, and we weren't consulted as to the dates and times at all. And so I had to clear my schedule, my teaching schedule.
Yes.
To be here. And so, and then to have the chair just notify you as the vice chair, I'm assuming, but not the rest of us. And the same thing has happened more than once in regular board meetings.
Mm-hmm.
It's getting frustrating, to say the least. I mean, I haven't missed this many board meetings that I've seen happening with our newest board members in the 10 years I've been on the board. It's like, we know what the schedule is. We know what needs to be done. My thing has always been, unless there's death in the immediate person, you'll be there. But that's a kind of training that I've had in relation to these types of commitments. And so it's disconcerting to see that we're not having that same type of commitment from other board members, and in particular, the newest board members who are in need of this. So I appreciate that even with you being under the weather, that you are here this evening, showing that kind of commitment. because from what I also heard, I guess there's extenuating circumstances for Chair Curry, but we're never made aware as board members as to what extenuating circumstances are going on at all. So this is the first thing I've heard of an extenuating circumstance. So that's disconcerting as well. Let us know that there's something going on. If something's going on, then set it out there so that we can participate in an alternative schedule design that meets our needs, like not on evenings that might be a challenge for others. Just because we do things kind of like we do things on Wednesdays, maybe there's another night that would be helpful for all of us, or we could all figure out a way to be here on a Tuesday night or a Thursday night or something with advance notice. If Wednesdays, for example, are difficult with other people's schedules, that we rely upon to help us and support us to be able to do our job, right? Our commitment here. So that's my 2 cents.
Pamela, Jess is in the audience. And he's raising his hand.
I just let him in.
There he is.
Thank you. So I guess I apologies again for being under the weather and not making myself a little bit clear. This is just, this has not, I know this has happened several times and it's all been because of his nurse, sadly. But now I guess he should, and I will bring it back to him today, your guys' concerns, that he should bring up what's, his extraordinary circumstance and, going forward for that. So I will make sure to bring that up to him this evening when I talk to him.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
All right, so let's see. Pam, did you hear anything from Rose?
Yes, she said she was going to be here.
Okay, let me check with her.
So Vice Chair Fuller, you have a quorum of the board at this point, if you'd like to gavel in, and so we can just go ahead and just be in a public meeting. And
Yeah,
so we can
totally
talk a little more freely.
Yep. So let's do this. Let's start now at 6:10, or excuse me, 6:11, right on the dot. I gavel in at 6:11, and welcome to the OSBA training for Wednesday, February 2nd. And I will pass it off to Vince.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, and I'm delighted to be here. And it's unfortunate that we're missing a few members. And so for what I had planned for this evening, we really, optimally, we would have most, if not all, of the board present. So my intention for tonight was to take you through a formative process where be asking you a series of questions and getting feedback from the board on what your expectations are for your meetings, what your expectation for the role of the board is, and the superintendent. And then using that input, come back to you with operating agreements, both for the board and for the board and the superintendent. Just some ground rules so that you can then consider those documents and review them, revise them as you see fit, and ultimately adopt to use for operating your meetings. And operating agreements are focusing documents. They're restatements of what's already in policy, and so really they're used to focus our attention on where we want to improve, because every board, there's no perfect board out there. Every board has challenges. So my own board, I sit on the Corvallis board. We have both a board operating agreement and a board superintendent operating agreement, because there are things that my board's working on. So we all have things that we want to work on. And so that's that's the purpose of these. And so I was going to take about a half an hour, 2 hours to go through this formative process and just get some input from the board. But and Rose just came in. Good evening, Rose. We have 5 members, but missing the chair, it would be really nice to have his input in this process. So if it's not going to work out, and I'm going to hand this back to the board for deciding on whether you want to proceed tonight or not, I'm happy to take you through this process, but you are missing a couple members, and that really is unfortunate. If we were just missing one, maybe, but missing 2, and one of them being the chair, really makes this a little bit more difficult just to get all the input from all the individuals on the board. And so I'm, more than happy to reschedule this session and come back to work with the board. No hard feelings about that at all. I know that my kids will be delighted to have their dad show up and maybe play some Minecraft tonight. So it would be a bonus for them. But alternatively, if the board would like to go ahead and go through this process with the 5 members who are present, happy to do that as well. It's kind of a fun process, and we have to put our thinking caps on and really think about where we want to go. So, Vice Chair Fuller, I'm going to hand it back to you, and maybe the board can make a decision on whether you want to proceed or whether we want to reschedule.
No problem. So I do understand that, especially since we are going through these very important documents, that it is important to have the chair here. I do want to remind folks that I am the vice chair, so I can relay information to the chair if need be. And of course, this would need be. And especially with the recording, Heath said that he would be more than happy to go back and watch the recording as well too. But it is.
But that's not the same as participating.
Claudia,
Yes.
I understand that.
Oh,
And
good.
thank
Okay.
you for talking. But I again say it's ultimately up to the board to reschedule if they would like to. And I will facilitate that motion now. Does anybody have a motion? All right. So since we do not have a motion, we can continue. I will relay the information to Chair Curry to make sure that he gets it. And then he also will be able to see the recording. And then we will continue further with this. Yes, Director Shields.
What was the motion? What were you looking for?
I was looking for someone to motion to reschedule the meeting.
Move to reschedule.
Thank you. Second it.
Second.
Thank you. So we have a motion to reschedule the meeting by Director Shields, seconded by Director Andrews. All in favor, say aye.
Whoa. Don't you want to call for any discussion?
Oh yeah, sorry. Call for any discussion. Excuse me. Discussion?
I have a couple questions just as to, I was listening to Vince talking about what we were talking about today. And so I'm curious what we feel the impact of moving forward with this meeting would be on the board, on our board relationships or what. I'm just kind of curious, like why we would choose one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm happy to speak to that. You could proceed with the members present, but you'd lose the input of two members. And the problem with that is that down the road, you're going to end up with documents that won't have their input. It won't have their voice included in them. They're not going to see themselves in the documents. And so that, it's hard to sign on to something that you weren't part of. And the whole point of operating agreements is, we like to have consensus. Optimally, we have consensus around these documents. And so that's the risk, is that you have people that they're like, I don't see myself in this document. I don't feel like I'm accountable. Now, I want to remind the board that any decision of the board is binding. And so even though that, as members, we may not have participated in the process of the development of a document, once the board adopts a document, we're held accountable. It's the rules of the board as an institution. And so all individuals are held accountable to it, whether you participated or not. Same thing for boards that have standing operating agreements and new members come on. They didn't participate. I'm a new member. I didn't participate in developing that document. I didn't vote on that document. That was before my time. I don't feel I'm accountable to it. Wrong. It was a decision that the board made, and it's the board's operating agreement. And once you're elected and join that board, then you're held accountable to the standards and expectations of the institution of that board. And so that's why it's kind of important. It's really nice to have everybody involved and working together. And this is something that, you guys should do together as a whole group. And
I guess my last question, and I don't know if this is confidential or not, like, are people sick? Are there extenuating circumstances? There's been a lot of absences in recent meetings. And so I'm just curious, like, is this something that is going to continue to show up regardless of whether we decide to reschedule it or not?
So, yes, Rose. Yes, there is extreme circumstances right now. And I will not go on the record saying what I said before, but I have told Heath, and he is sending out a memo to you all. So please take a look at your email boxes, and we will reschedule. Looks like, if everybody's comfortable. So is there any further discussion? All right.
I just want to say, apologize to Director Adams. Sorry for bringing you in here, and then it sounds like we need to reschedule it, but I understand that we need to have all of us here if we're all going to live by it. We're all a team.
No.
I'm sorry, Director Adams.
No. Don't worry about me. This isn't the first time I've showed up at a meeting and life has happened, and it didn't work out. Totally fine. This happens. It just happens. It's okay. And we can reschedule, and I can come back. All this content is ready to go for you guys. Just we'll just set up a time, at the very least a month from now, on March 2nd. We have that date already scheduled. Totally fine. But if we can squeeze something in a little bit earlier, that would be great, but totally fine.
Vice Chair Fuller, may I ask a question?
Yes, Director Andrews.
Rose, your questions were really excellent, because I really hadn't thought that what we had discussed or what we agreed to as a result of this meeting then is binding on the entire board. Mm-hmm. Vice Chair Fuller, did Chair Curry understand that when he decided he wasn't going to, or when he unavoidably was not able to attend the meeting?
I don't know. And that would be something to ask him. You can, I'm sure, in fact, send that email to him, as if respond to that email that he'll be sending to you. Because I don't have the answer to that question, and I'm not going to sit here and tell a fib. So With that being said, I don't want to waste anybody else's time. If there is no more discussion, is there any more discussion? Okay. With that being said, all in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you so much, Director Adams, for coming again. Sorry about this.
Vice Chair Fuller, was
Yes,
that unanimous, ma'am?
yes, that was unanimous.
Thank you.
Yes, no problem, honey. Again, thank you so much for being here, and thank you to everyone that was able to make it. Everyone have a wonderful rest of your night.
Good night. We'll see you next time.
Next
Bye, everybody.